Welcome to Gridiron Ring, a sports talk show covering football and professional wrestling. I'm your host, Encyclopedia Sports, Cool Hand Luke 96. This will be my college football Week 4 predictions. Actually, just got done recording my NFL Week 3 predictions, so be sure to go check that out right here on Gridiron Ring's YouTube channel. But I have breaking news to begin this audio recording right here on YouTube, and it involves the NFL. I wish it would have broke just a tad bit sooner, or if I would have kept talking, it would have broke while I was still recording for my NFL Week 3 predictions. But breaking news out of the National Football League: the Patriots have cut Antonio Brown. The team has released star wide receiver Antonio Brown weeks after signing him amid allegations of sexual assault and misconduct. So Antonio Brown no longer a member of the New England Patriots, effective immediately after having 4 catches, 55 yards, and a touchdown last week against the Dolphins, but with allegations of sexual assault and misconduct over his head. The Patriots decided to part ways with the star wide receiver and actually released a statement as well, and I will read that to you right now, and I quote: "The New England Patriots are releasing Antonio Brown. We appreciate the hard work of many people over the past 11 days, but we feel that it is best to move in a different direction at this time." So Antonio Brown released by the New England Patriots here on Friday, September the 20th. Happy birthday, Pappy. So yeah, big breaking news out of the NFL. I really don't know what to think right now, as this just broke within the past couple minutes. So I really, like I said, I don't know what to think. I haven't really thought about it yet, but we'll have to see what the future holds, obviously, for Brown. Will he ever play again in the NFL? Will he sign elsewhere with another team? Just 9 months ago, he was still a member of the Steelers. They traded him to the Raiders. Raiders released him back on August 31st. A couple hours later, he signed on with the Patriots. Now, about 3 weeks later, the Patriots release Antonio Brown, and he is now unemployed once again. I will have more on this come Sunday when I am on Periscope doing live reactions, play-by-play of NFL football, so be sure to tune in and watch those. Chat questions and comments about this. Let me know in the comments below. Also, come Sunday, you guys want to talk about it, let me know, and hit up Gridiron Ring, Gridiron 18, and myself, Cool Hand Luke 96 on social media if you want to discuss it. But enough with that, I guess. So I'll get into my college football Week 4 predictions now. I wasn't expecting to have breaking news to kick off this recording for college football Week 4. So it, changes some things up for a little while here, first couple minutes. So thank you guys for listening and checking out my college football Week 4 predictions. As mentioned, go check out my NFL Week 3 as well. There's not going to be anything, though, in that audio recording about Antonio Brown being released by the Patriots, because it literally just broke within the past couple minutes right after I got done recording my NFL Week 3 and just about ready to start my college football Week 4 predictions right now. So that's why I just put it at the beginning of this recording. So thanks for listening. Like, follow, and subscribe. Gridiron Ring, Gridiron 18, myself, Cool Hand Luke 96 on social media. Links are in the description below. Today is Friday, September the 20th, 2019, and Storm Area 51 is going on this weekend. However, we have 2 college football games this evening, one with Utah and USC from Los Angeles, and then Air Force and Boise State from Boise, Idaho on the blue turf, plus a full slate of games tomorrow, September the 21st, 2019, headlined by a top 10 showdown in Athens, Georgia, behind the hedges, with the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame and the Georgia Bulldogs. Michigan also plays at Wisconsin, a place that they have not won since 2001. That game tomorrow at noon. Auburn at Texas A&M, 3:30 tomorrow on CBS, plus App State, North Carolina, and then Texas. They will try to get revenge on Oklahoma State Saturday night on ABC. Utah, USC, 9 o'clock here this evening. This video should be up by that point. If it's not, this is being recorded Friday afternoon. So don't say I recorded it during the game, picked the winner as the game got over, and then uploaded it afterwards. No, that's not how I do things. Utah, USC tonight at 9 on Fox Sports 1. Urban Meyer, Reggie Bush, and Matt Leinart all going to be in the house as Fox Sports is having their college game day pre-show, basically, on site in Los Angeles at the Coliseum for this matchup with the Utah Utes and USC Trojans in the Pac-12. Utah ranked 10th in the country. USC lost last week on the road to BYU after defeating Stanford the week before at home. That was a top 25 showdown. However, now SC with the loss to the Cougs. Unranked. Utah, 10th team in the land. All eyes are going to be on Urban Meyer and Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart. Bush and Leinart, they played together back in the early 2000s, won a couple national championships, both won Heisman trophies. However, Reggie had to give his back. The way USC is playing right now, if Clay Helton gets fired at the end of the year, everybody's going to say go after Urban Meyer. Everybody's going to have eyes on him tonight, potentially saying, oh, he's just getting a first look, an early look at where he's going to want to live out in Los Angeles, and so on and so forth. Oh, I'd love to coach here, and just everything in between. However, if USC pays too much attention to that, they're going to lose the football game. Regardless, I think they're going to lose in the end anyway. I have Utah winning. Utah is just a better football team right now than USC. These two teams have a common opponent, though, as well in BYU. The Holy War was week 1, Utah, BYU from Provo. Utah won that. And then USC played at BYU last week and lost in overtime. So Utah defeats the men of Troy. Air Force at Boise State. Give me the Broncos over the Falcons. NFL matchup, Broncos-Falcons. We'll have to see if we get that later on this year. I know we've got it in the past. One time in a Super Bowl, John Elway won that. However, Air Force, big win over Colorado last week in overtime, except Boise State's just 10 times better. This should be a good game tonight. However, Boise State I have winning. Tennessee, Florida. Lane Kiffin was around. He'd say Tennessee's winning by 1,000,000. However, Tennessee football, as mentioned in the past couple weeks to kick off 2019 here in College Football 150. Tennessee football has not been relevant since Peyton Manning was there. Yeah, Philip Fulmer had a couple good teams later on, right before he retired, with Eric Ainge and company, if you remember him. But Tennessee football has not been relevant since the late 90s. Florida, big one on the road last week against the Kentucky Wildcats. Kentucky plays at Mississippi State Saturday night, but Florida hosts Tennessee Saturday afternoon in the Swamp. And I don't even think this is going to be a game because, hell, Tennessee, I know they won last week. They defeated Chattanooga, but they started off 0-2, first time since 1988. But they lost to Georgia Southern at home week 2 when they were a 25-point favorite and they lost by 8 points. Tennessee going to get their ass kicked by the Florida Gators come Saturday. Sorry, Volunteer fans. Big showdown in the Big Ten from Camp Randall Stadium in Madison, Wisconsin. The Michigan Wolverines come to town and are aiming to win for the first time in Madison at Camp Randall for the first time since 2001. Hard to believe that'll be 20 years in a couple years. Jonathan Taylor, Shea Patterson, those are going to be your key players to keep an eye out for in this ball game. Michigan's quarterback Patterson, Jonathan Taylor, the running back for Wisconsin. If Michigan can't stop him on defense, even with Don Brown's great defense that he always has, it's going to be a very, very long day for the Wolverines. Michigan, though, on offense, if Patterson can make some plays, we might have ourselves a ball game late in the fourth quarter. I think regardless, we're still going to have a great game that's going to come down to the wire. Michigan, coming off a bye week, almost lost to Army 2 weeks ago at home in the Big House. Now have to go on the road to open up conference play against the Wisconsin Badgers. However, I think Michigan, I love Jonathan Taylor, don't get me wrong, but I think Michigan's going to be able to stop him late in the game, and Michigan's going to get out of Dodge with a win and Michigan will continue to be undefeated moving on in the season, and potentially could still win the Big Ten East. Going to really depend on how they play against Penn State in a couple weeks, middle of October, about a month away now, October the 19th, and then also in the game, the final week of the season, as they will host the Ohio State Buckeyes. That could be a top 5 showdown come November the 30th. Cal Ole Miss, very, very intriguing non-conference matchup for myself for some reason. Pac-12 SEC. Is Justin Wilcox' Cal Bear defense going to be able to hold an SEC offense down? I believe so. Cal impressing so far this early. Big one on the road against Washington a couple weeks back. A 1-point victory. I think they'll defeat Ole Miss by a little bit more than that, but Cal victors over the Ole Miss Rebs. Michigan State Northwestern, noon on ABC tomorrow. Give me Sparty to bounce back over Northwestern Wildcats. Northwestern, week 1 they lost to Stanford. Stanford's really not, that great right now. KJ Costello goes down. They lose to USC. They lose last week on the road as well to Central Florida. Northwestern really should have won that game week 1, and then they really haven't done a whole lot since, playing subpar non-conference games. But, that's just how it is for some teams during the start of the season before they get into conference play. Northwestern, like I said, they should have won week 1, but I still think they're going to have a down year compared to last year. I think they'll still get the 6 wins, don't get me wrong on that. But losing Clayton Thorson to the NFL, backing up Carson Wentz now in Philadelphia, almost actually played this past week, but McCown ended up going in when Wentz went down for a short while, but then Carson Wentz came back in. Falcons still won that game Sunday night this past week. Sunday Night Football this week. Just go check out my NFL Week 3 predictions. Save you some time on that. Rams and Browns, I'll be on Periscope all day long, so be sure to tune in. But then on the other side, with Michigan State losing a very, very low-scoring close game at home to Arizona State because of a costly penalty at the end of the game when they kicked a game-tying field goal to send the game to overtime at 10. However, there's 12 men on the field on offense. 5-yard penalty. They retried the kick, shanked it wide left. Arizona State won. Now Michigan State has to go on the road. Early kick time, at Northwestern, noon Eastern. It'll be 11 local time in Evanston, right outside of Chicago. And the thing is, at Northwestern, they never, ever keep the grass real short. It's always like knee-high, it seems like, and they're out there playing football. So an early kick. Keep an eye out for Northwestern, believe me. I think they very well could win this game, but I'm going to pick Michigan State to bounce back because they shouldn't have lost last week. That's just a fluke. Michigan State should beat Arizona State. Now Arizona State in the top 25 and looking like a early to mid-season favorite now to win the Pac-12 South and potentially win the whole conference as a whole. But Spartans over the Wildcats in the Big Ten as Michigan plays at Wisconsin. That's a crossover game in the Big Ten. Also Michigan State Northwestern, a crossover game as well. Auburn at Texas A&M, 3:30 on CBS. Auburn last year won this game late at home on the Plains. Now they have to go to College Station to play Jimbo Fisher's Texas A&M Aggies, led by Kellen Mond. And A&M a couple weeks ago at Clemson, they only put up 10 points, basically 3 the whole entire game. The touchdown they had late was garbage. Guy, tight end, wide open in the end zone with like 5 seconds to play. So, this game come Saturday, though, should be a, very, very good game in the SEC West. Winner of this will move along. Auburn already has a big win over Oregon week 1 in Arlington, but the winner of this will move along in the SEC West to potentially contend with Alabama and LSU. All 4 teams are still going to have to play each other. A&M will play LSU last weekend of the year. Alabama, Auburn, in the Iron Bowl as well on November 30th. That weekend, on paper, going into the season, always looks good, but right now it looks even better as the season has progressed into week 4 now during college football. A&M, they'll win. I'm high on A&M, Texas A&M this year. Jimbo Fisher in year 2 after leaving Florida State a couple years back. Left his Christmas tree out in the street beginning of December, if you guys can remember that. as well. But with A&M playing at home, the 12th man, they'll get involved late in the game, and Bo Nix, true freshman quarterback, he'll make some mistakes, and Texas A&M will come out on top. BYU with another big game on Saturday as they host the Washington Huskies out of the Pac-12. They hosted Utah week 1, who plays at USC tonight. BYU played at Tennessee week 2, and then last week defeated USC in overtime, 2-1 on the year. Washington with the same record as well after losing to Cal a couple weeks back by 1 point. Jacob Eason, I think he'll have a decent game, but BYU playing at home, one of the most underrated teams in college football right now, I think, playing a big non-conference slate first 4 weeks with Utah, Tennessee, USC, and Washington. Hell, they might as well either join the Big 12 or the Pac-12 if conference realignment ever comes back up once again, because BYU, sometimes they can hang and sometimes they can't, but I mean right now, early on in the season, 2-1, they're hanging on a little bit more than by a thread. So I think BYU playing at home. Chris Peterson came from Boise State. He knows what this game means for the BYU Cougars, with BYU being a underappreciated program, as Boise State was for quite a while as well, until he put them on the map and then left for Seattle back in 2014. Great game, maybe the most underrated game of the weekend here during week 4. This will be 3:30 ESPN2, ABC, depending on where you're at, I believe. That'll be split with Pitt and Central Florida. I'll take the Knights over the Panthers in that. But moving on, TCU will host the Mustangs of SMU, a battle of 2 Dallas teams, so you might as well have the Cowboys in attendance, as they will play the Miami Dolphins, the worst team in the NFL, come Sunday. Hell, TCU SMU could very well be better than the Miami Dolphins right now. That'd be up for discussion, though. Let me know in the comments below what you think about that statement. But SMU at TCU, Sonny Dykes, Gary Patterson. TCU big win on the road last week against a Big Ten team in Purdue. TCU playing at home. Home game for both teams, though, basically. SMU's not that far down the road. But TCU, Gary Patterson, he's had success. He's a better coach than Sonny Dykes. No offense to Sonny Dykes by any means, but TCU in a blowout. TCU will win this game by a big margin. Louisville at Florida State. When's Willie Taggart going to be fired? That's what everybody is asking right now. Hell, it might be after Saturday if Louisville defeats the Seminoles. Hell, Clay Helton could get fired tomorrow morning, or even after tonight's game if USC loses to Utah as well. Only time's going to tell. But I'm going to take both road teams in those games. I'm taking Utah, as previously mentioned, and I'm going to take Louisville with Scott Satterfield over the Florida State Seminoles. App State, Satterfield's old squad, they play at North Carolina. Mac Brown, the Tar Heels, just a little bit better than the Mountaineers, with a new first-year head coach after Satterfield left to go to Louisville. So give me UNC over App State. Sorry, Eric Church and Luke Combs. Kentucky at Mississippi State in the SEC. Bulldogs over the Cats. Once again, dogs are better than cats. West Virginia at Kansas in the Big 12. Kansas, big win on the road last week on Friday night at Boston College. They come back home now to Lawrence to play the West Virginia Mountaineers. And it seems like there's a lot of team nicknames now that I just realized this, with the name Mountaineers or Tigers or Wildcats. Big college football fan myself, but for some reason I just realized that going down through my predictions here during week 4 in 2019. Hey, you learn something new every day. West Virginia at Kansas. Neil Brown, Les Miles in their first year at both respective schools. West Virginia almost lost to JMU week 1, Boston, Missouri. Big win though last week over NC State. Kansas, big win on the road last week against BC, as I just said. Toss up, very big toss up. I mean, this could go either way. I honestly don't know who to pick. I said last week I was going to take West Virginia in what could be the potential last time if they would have lost. So don't let me down, Mountaineers. I'm going to take West Virginia again on the road against Kansas. Now, if they lose to KU on Saturday, that's going to be the end of that. But WVU over Kansas and Les Miles, the Mad had himself. Oregon, Stanford, Pac-12 showdown on the farm. Oregon and Justin Herbert are going to win this. Costello did come back last week, I do believe, for the Cardinal, except Stanford still lost on the road against Central Florida. Now you got another good quarterback in Justin Herbert coming to town, as you played against Brandon Wimbush last week and he lit you up. If Brandon Wimbush lit you up on defense, a potential number 1 overall pick in next year's NFL draft, Justin Herbert, will do the same. He looked good week 1 against Auburn, but Oregon, since then, yeah, okay, they've continued to win over Nevada and then Montana, but, you know, Nevada and Montana are, you know, Auburn or hell, even Stanford this weekend. But give me the Ducks over the trees. Old Dominion at Virginia in Charlottesville. Old Dominion plays both Virginia Tech and Virginia this year. Already 0-1 versus the Hokies. Make it 0-2, they'll lose to the Cavs as well as Saturday afternoon. Oklahoma State, Texas from Austin. As I mentioned earlier, I do believe Texas will get revenge against the OK State Cowboys. A game that was in primetime last year in Stillwater, and primetime once again this year on ABC. In Austin, 2 night games on ABC in a couple weeks span for the Texas Longhorns. Lost to LSU, but that's a battle now of 2 former Les Miles squads, Oklahoma State, LSU. Lost to, and they didn't get blown out, but a loss is still a loss. They really weren't in it until late, and then it was just a little too late at that point. Texas will play Kansas and Les Miles actually later on this season as well in the Big 12, but Texas in primetime once again, they'll try to show, actually this will be the 3rd straight week they're in primetime at 8 o'clock. They'll try to show the world once again that Texas football is back, but still they're only playing an Oklahoma State team that's not really that good, to be honest with you. They're about average. They're not as good as what they were when they had Mason Rudolph, the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and James Washington, both who are with the Pittsburgh Steelers now, and Rudolph now getting his first career NFL start on Sunday. Once again, go check out my NFL Week 3 predictions. I'm going to take the Texas Longhorns over the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Hook 'em. Big one, though, Saturday night, Week 4 in general in college football. Notre Dame at Georgia, 8 o'clock CBS. Bulldogs over the Fighting Irish. Normally, as of late, anytime Notre Dame plays in primetime, we want to talk about primetime. Not Deion Sanders, but big primetime college football or the NFL in general, 7, 8 o'clock, if not later. Notre Dame, when they're playing in those type of games, for some reason, they just don't show up to play. They don't come to play. They always get blown out. I think the same's going to happen on Saturday. However, 2 years ago when Georgia played at Notre Dame in South Bend, it was basically a Georgia home game, and the Bulldogs, I do believe, ended up winning by 1 point on the road. So it could very well be another close game come Saturday night on CBS, but Georgia at home, night game, Jake Fromm over Ian Book, Bulldogs over the Fighting Irish. Plus, you can't always pick with the Catholics. You always got to pick against the Catholics. Am I right or am I right? Colorado, Arizona State, ASU over the Buffs, and then also in the Pac-12 late Saturday night, UCLA at Washington State. The Cougars are going to defeat the Bruins in Pullman, along with Mike Leach leading the way against Chip Kelly and UCLA. Chip Kelly and UCLA's squad this year, they just look so damn slow. Last week they played Oklahoma at home in Pasadena at the Rose Bowl, and it seemed like an Oklahoma home game. Hell, they were giving away tickets for that game, and it was still empty, except for all the Oklahoma fans in attendance that made the trip out to Los Angeles on a short flight from Norman. Now UCLA goes north, 10:30 against Washington State, air raid offense. Mike Leach, he's going to throw He's going to have his team, I should say. Yeah, Mike Leach is going to go out and play quarterback. That's for damn sure. That'd be something to see. No, Mike Leach is going to have his offense throw for probably, I'll say 450, maybe 500 yards over UCLA's defense Saturday night. And those are my my college football Week 4 predictions. Go check out my NFL Week 3 if you haven't done so already. And I hope to see everybody now on Sunday for live reactions, play-by-play of some football in the NFL. And then keep an eye out next week, too, for more college football and NFL predictions. Like, follow, and subscribe to Gridiron Ring and myself, Cole Hand, Week 96 on social media. Links are in the description below.